Oh, by the way, I had a question. I was doing something this morning and I just
Yeah,
was thinking. Yesterday, when you showed that intercompany thing, right?
yeah,
And we were talking about receivables and AP. Let's assume a company doesn't have AR. Um, they only took AP module.
okay.
So, do we still use, how do we do in those cases?
So for those cases, it is suggested to take only the GL part, not for the subledger.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So we'll start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here, if you see, I have attached my business unit, and based on the business unit configuration, where we attach the ledger, system has auto-populated the ledger and the ledger currency. So this
Okay.
is one part. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have two tabs. So one is billing and revenue, and the other one is cash processing.
Mm-hmm.
So billing and revenue is for the transaction, and whereas the cash processing is for the receipt.
Mm-hmm.
So here, if you see, so we have split amount, days in sale, all those things. So this is
Can
related.
you hold on for a second, please?
Yes.
Just మళ్ళీ కాల్ చేస్తా క్లాస్లో ఉన్నా.
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So these things, if you see, so these are all kind of an what do you call the Salesforce and collection-based configurations. If you see the split amount, which means whatever the amount that we are giving it here, so
Mm-hmm.
above this amount, basically system will give us in the collection report. So it is just to identify that or track the what do you call the customer who will not pay in the stipulated dates. So for those purpose, we have this configuration. So we can give amount or we can give date or we can,
So what happens when you have what is that concept of split amount?
so split amount is something that if you give this particular amount, so above this amount, if this particular collection has reached it, so that is when system will show us in the collection report. So similarly, yeah,
Okay, let me get this straight. So if there is a customer and who doesn't pay the bill and it reaches a certain point, and that's when this guy is reported.
yeah, correct.
Okay.
So this is completely on the collection perspective. So that will be a different module actually.
Okay.
So we have something called advanced collection. So there we will have all this parts involved.
Hey, can I stop you here for a second?
Yeah,
I have a question. So when we say, so let's say receivables you started here, right?
yeah,
So order to cash is like you start off with the order management, and then from there you send the sales orders,
yeah,
and then in receivables you actually start paying those sales, right?
yeah.
I mean, not paying,
We
whatever.
will
Sorry.
put invoice, and for the invoice we will create the receipt.
Yes. Uh, we'll book the invoice and yeah. So if let's say if somebody asks, have you tell me about order management, and let's assume I've worked only on AR
Okay.
for just let's say. So how do you actually tackle that question?
No, can you repeat it once again?
So let's assume in an interview they ask you about order to cash.
Okay,
Okay, you can tell theoretically how it works,
okay,
but as a receivables, if there, let's say a job posting is there, so
okay.
how would you answer? From where do you start? You say that just worked on receivables. That's it.
Yeah, if you are an AR consultant, which means we will work only on the AR. So
Mm-hmm.
we will not take up this order this thing. So for that we have separate consultant called O2C consultants. So they will
Okay,
handle
so
the
okay.
entire thing. So they are kind of an functional guys where they will handle both the SEM part and the finance part.
Okay. So if some job comes up saying, have you got experience in O2C, then we should not apply for those? I mean, like, let's say I haven't worked on or order to cash the entire cycle
Okay.
in Fusion, let's assume in Fusion. I only know the AR part. So is it something that we can apply or we shouldn't apply, or what is the
Yeah,
case?
we can apply, but we can state that we worked only on the finance modules.
Okay.
Because if you see, if we say that I'm an O2C consultant, so which
Mm-hmm.
means I can handle both the SEM and the receivables. So SEM in
Okay.
the sense you will have the inventory involved in it, and
Mm-hmm.
because we will check on quantity, and then we will have the order booking process.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
here they call order management orchestration,
Mm-hmm.
and apart from that, we will handle the advanced pricing.
Mm-hmm.
In EBS, it is different module by itself. The
Yeah,
advanced,
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
did that in at Brinks when I was working there.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
So
not completely, but bits and pieces that also.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
yeah, so this we have, and then we have the shipment, and we will have what do you call the in transit, and we will have how this COGS is generated, all those things. So
Okay.
I mean, if we have worked on this O2C cycle, basically we will have uh, enough knowledge in terms of answering those questions. But
Mm.
when we have worked only on the AR, it will be little tricky.
Tough, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then why is that when courses are offered, they're not offered based on O2C or let's say P2P completely? Why are they separated as financials? Because they're two separate modules. That's why, right? Okay.
Mostly because if you see, so for them, the guys who is giving the training, so they will segregate it. So they will take one part for the finance and the other part for the SEM. So
Okay.
the guy who handles finance mostly will not know the SEM part that much, and
Mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
guy who handles the SEM doesn't know the finance that much. So that is
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Okay, let's move on from my questions.
yeah. So and after that, if you see, we have application rules. So
Mm-hmm.
application rule set is nothing but like how do we want to distribute our revenues? The application
Distribute what?
revenues, like if
Revenue. Okay.
yeah, the open invoices. So how do we want it to distribute it? Like we have line and tax prorate. So prorate is nothing but distributing equally. So similarly, we have line first and tax after, and prorate all, which means this will distribute all the lines.
Okay. So this application rule set is applied at the line level on the invoice.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have.
And this is mainly for taxation?
No, this is not only for taxation. So if you see here, so we have, so this is nothing but applying our revenues. So how do we want to apply our revenues? So if you
Okay.
see, so this is not only tax, like I can apply line first and tax after. So mostly we will have the taxation part. So that is why
Uh-huh.
we have configuration stating that line and tax pro rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we have the discount basis. So it will be mostly on the invoice amount or the line amount. So we will
Mm-hmm.
not include freight and the other things for the discount.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, I have taken
So
invoice.
what will be the difference between the invoice amount and the line amount? Shouldn't they be matching here also?
No, it will match, but if you see, I can have 10 lines for an invoice. But
Okay.
if I say invoice amount, which means this consists of this 10 lines. But if I say lines, which means it will take a particular line. So let's say this line one has 1,000. So this
Mm-hmm.
discount will be calculated for this 1,000, but not for the 10,000.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but why would you give it at a line level discount? I mean, is it specific to an item? Is that why?
Yeah, so there are
Okay.
cases where if you walk into Walmart, for example,
Mm-hmm.
so the discount and these things, if you see, they will not calculate as a bill whole. So they will
Mm.
calculate for line, which means
Yeah,
for each
yeah.
item.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Okay.
depends on business to business whether they are giving for the invoice amount or lines. Mostly it will be lines actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have unearned discount. So unknown discount is that something like for the payment, if you see, let's say
Mm-hmm.
I have a condition where the due is 10 days, and if I pay earlier, I can I can have this discount.
Mm-hmm.
So which means I could have earned this discount, but I didn't earn this discount because this is a late payment. Or
Mm-hmm.
those cases we will have unearned discounts. So whether we wanted to allow unearned discount. So for
So
now,
allow unearned discount is given to people who pay in advance. I mean, like before itself, before their payment term date.
no, we will give discount for the home who is paying the due amount before the actual maturity date.
You'll give the discount to those people.
Yeah. So let's say I have negotiated with customer A
Mm-hmm.
stating that we will have the payment cycle every 7 days. So customer
Mm-hmm.
is paying maybe in 3 days. So what I'll
Mm-hmm.
do is that I'll set a condition stating that if you pay in 3 days, we will give 5% discount, 5 or 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what this concept of discount.
Okay.
Yeah. And these are related to discounts, like whether we wanted to discount on the partial payment or full payment. So these things we can enable.
Mm-hmm.
And we have allow any business unit to process the receipt. So what are the receipt that is created, I mean invoice created in this particular business unit. So
Mm-hmm.
that we wanted other business unit to access this invoice and
Mm-hmm.
create the receipt.
Okay.
So if I allow, I can do it.
Okay.
And then we have the adjustment activity. So these are like exception part. So adjustment activity is nothing but our write-offs and our on account. So this kind of things we call it as adjustments.
Okay.
And then we have a receipt method. So receipt method will be there for the credit card, and also we will have for the bank accounts. So if
Credit
we
card and
wanted to
bank
have,
accounts.
we can attach it here.
Mm-hmm. So what is there under receipt method? What is there in the drop down? What do you have for
No,
choice?
we didn't create anything.
Oh, but receipt method in the sense like whether what would be the choices there for credit card?
No, we will have this one, American Express.
Oh, the credit card list.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, okay, okay. Whether it's a Visa, MasterCard, or something like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
correct.
okay, okay. I was thinking method in terms of how can it be manual? How can it be something? Okay, got it.
And
And
then,
how about that salesperson? Do we need a salesperson compulsory?
no, that is not compulsory. That is optional. Okay.
On the top, if you look heather, right below the sales credit percent limit, and then you have down check boxes, right?
Yeah,
Require salesperson.
yeah, this is not mandatory. So this is optional. So only these two things are mandatory.
So split amount is like, let's say you give $1 million there.
Mm,
Or then if that business or the customer, I mean, if I'm just talking about some big customer, let's say $50,000, let's leave it at
okay.
50,000. Okay. So 50,000 is supposed to be paid by the customer, and he hasn't paid, and the dates he's gone beyond his maturity date, as you say. So in that case, what would be the split amount that you just give that 50,000 there?
Like if I give 50,000 here, so let's say
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
due is 51,000. So which means
Hmm.
uh, my particular due with the invoice details and the other things will be displayed in the collection report.
Okay. So you give that's the amount you give. Let's say you're giving a limit for this is basically setting a limit for each of a limit in the sense like not even a limit, you're putting a scale, right?
Yeah, correct.
For this. Okay.
Yeah, this is kind of an threshold. So once it reaches this threshold, the system will populate this particular customer in the collection report.
Okay. I mean, what I'm saying is that the amount can be anything.
Yes,
And that the business decides how much that amount is, whether it is 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever it
yes,
is.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have the tax account.
Mm-hmm.
So tax account is mandatory because most of the countries will have tax. So that is the understanding. But
Mm-hmm.
there are a few countries where we don't have tax, like Saudi and the other thing. So just they are introducing VAT. Uh,
Mm.
so since we have most of the countries, so this is marked as a mandatory.
Okay. So this tax account, for this tax account to populate, right? Do you have to do your tax of configuration before you come here?
Um, no, we don't need to do tax configuration because this is only
This
selecting the
this is
account.
this is just the account. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then we have unallocated revenue account. So again, this is optional. So this is just to what do you call the take the unallocated revenue. So this will come in when we use the order management. Even
Mm-hmm.
theoretically, I know that this is the purpose, but even
Mm-hmm.
I haven't used the unallocated revenue account.
Okay.
And then we have the cross currency rounding account. So this is like a rounding off. So for the
Mm-hmm.
precisions and the other things, so we will have the
Mm-hmm.
cross currency rounding off when we deal with the foreign currency.
Okay. So
Uh,
when we give the account there, right? So
yeah,
what do we search for? We search for a cross currency account. Is that what we put there? How do we know we what
no,
account number we should put?
we will add the rounding account. So we will have here. So if you see
So
here,
that's the rounding account. Okay. Okay. Got it.
yeah, and then we have the realized gain. So realized gain is something that we have realized this particular transaction, which means receipt is done.
Mm-hmm.
Those things we will have the realized gain or realized loss when we deal with the foreign currency
Okay. And the account is called realized gain.
or realized loss account.
Okay.
And then we will have the automatic journal import. So again, this is for the what do you call the gain or loss account. So if you wanted to use the automatic journal import, we can enable this option.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the header level rounding. So header level rounding in the sense like the aggregation of the particular invoice it will take, and if there is a difference or maybe we have the precision, so it will
Okay.
take this particular amount in the header level and it will round down. So
Okay.
for that we will have to give the header rounding account as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have days per posting cycle. So which means in this case I have given 15 days. So
Mm-hmm.
I can use it for twice in a month.
Okay. I
If
mean,
it,
you what it so you post these to GL twice a month.
yeah.
Okay.
So if I say 10, which means I'll post it
Every
for
10
twice.
days.
Yeah, right.
But when you say every 10 days it gets posted, it has to be done. It's a manual effort. It's not automatic because you haven't checked automatic.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I mean, automatic in the sense where,
There was a checkbox, right? Automatic journal. Oh, that's an import. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
this is for currency.
Okay, okay. That's for currency, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then we have the transaction related configuration. So when
Mm-hmm.
do we want to generate the document number and whether we wanted to allow the deletion of the transaction
Mm-hmm.
and whether we wanted to have the recurring billing and we have the tax invoice printing options. So whether we want to capture the item and the sum of the item, or we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see the sum of tax or total tax only. So how do we want to see? So I'll just say item is and sum. So I wanted to see only the item and the sum of it.
So this all this part where you're saying transactions is related to the end of the process where you are looking at the, let's say, the bill or whatever. No, what do you call the last part? In the sense like you're looking at the how do you want to see your invoices and the invoice lines and all that, right?
Yeah, correct. So this
Okay.
is for the printing option. So
Yeah.
after we generate our invoices, so how do we want to see?
Okay.
So
This
invoice
is
will
just after invoicing or this is after the receipt also?
not after receipt. So transaction means invoice in A.
Invoice. Okay.
And then we have item validation arc. So this is our inventory arc. So maybe if you
Okay.
have any arc that is created, so we can just attach it here.
Hmm. Which means the company should have this order, whatever that's
Yeah, if you are,
inventory
yeah,
module
so
also.
yeah, correct. So if you are using item and we have defined our item master and all those things, so
Hmm.
probably we will have the item arc and these things. So we
Okay.
can attach it here.
Hmm.
And then we have allow change to the printed transaction. So after printing, whether we wanted to allow changes to it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So others are like this thing communication part like email and delivery and these things.
So when you said you checked the box called allow deletion of transactions, right?
Yeah.
Is that a good practice to delete the transactions?
No, like if you see, so this is to allow delete before accounting the particular transaction.
Uh,
So,
okay.
so this deletion will be enabled at only certain point of time. So I cannot
Okay.
account the transaction and delete it. I can only cancel it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So this is before that. So if I
Okay.
disable this option,
Hmm.
even before I will not be able to delete it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have late charges. So late charges is for the kind of an interest payment in the AP. So similar
Hmm.
concept. So for
Hmm.
the late payment, we are charging from the customer.
Okay.
Yeah, and apart from that, we have this grouping rule. So grouping rule is nothing but so we have two things here. So one
Hmm.
is line ordering rule, and the other is grouping rule. So line
Okay.
ordering rule will pick this particular sales order lines, and it will form a particular line. And this grouping rule will form, or it will group the particular transaction into one invoice. So we are defining so we can use the attributes and the other columns there.
Mm, can you repeat this again, please?
Yeah. So here we have two things. So one is grouping and the other one is invoice line ordering. So what this will do is that so basically we will define a DFF and we will attach this DFF to the line ordering rule. So
Mm-hmm.
based on this configuration, system will pick the sales order line and it will form a specific line inside the what do you call the transaction. And
Okay.
after this, what will happen is that system will look for this grouping rule, and the line ordering rule will be attached with the grouping rule. So based on
Mm-hmm.
this parameter, system will group the sales order into one invoice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, we'll see this. For now, I'm
Okay.
selecting default.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So we have
Reciprocal.
create reciprocal customer. So which
Mm-hmm.
means, let's say, this is kind of a third party what we saw in the AP. So
Mm-hmm.
what will happen is that, so we have what do you call two, let's say two customers,
Mm-hmm.
and customer A actually he procured from customer B.
Mm-hmm.
So now what will happen is that customer A have to give some money or he needs to he lended some money from the customer B.
Mm-hmm.
So he sold to us, which means Tata Steel.
Mm-hmm.
So now what he is saying is that instead of paying me, directly pay to what do you call customer B. So
Mm-hmm.
I can just switch over and I can pay to the customer B instead of paying directly to customer A.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have the auto invoice related configuration. So here we
Mm-hmm.
have the purge interface table. So if we enable this particular option, so basically system will give this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if I enable this option, System will purge the interface tables automatically. So I don't want to run this purge interface program every time. So it will purge automatically.
So what is the purpose of actually purging?
So purging is like when you import this transaction into what do you call the base tables. So still
Okay.
the records will be there in the interface table. So to
Mm-hmm.
clear this interface, so what we will do is that we will run a program called interface data. So
Mm-hmm.
this program will erase the data that is processed to base table. Whatever is
Okay.
unprocessed, it will leave as it is, and it will delete all the processed data. So if
Okay.
we enable this option, we don't need to run everything.
Okay.
And the others are like exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Before exception, we have something called maximum memory in byte. So this is for the performance related and the other things. So
Mm-hmm.
where we will have the bytes, like let's say we have maybe 1 lakh files in a day.
Mm-hmm.
So, if when we say 1 lakh file, which means what will be the memory of this particular file? So, to
Mm-hmm.
handle it, we should give those memory here. So, the
Okay.
system will pick the file and it will process it, and this will allow us to have a better performance in terms of
Okay.
pulling the invoice and processing it.
Okay. But this number that came up, did it come up automatically?
Yeah, we will have it automatically.
Okay. Because that
If you
number is
want to
too
change, we
big.
can change.
Okay.
And then we have accounting date out of order, which means if the period is closed. So what do we
Okay.
want to do? Whether we wanted to adjust or we want to reject.
Okay. So what do you do normally in your day to day?
It will be reject.
Reject.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you say adjust, I mean adjust. So which
Mm-hmm.
means this particular transaction, even though the period is not open, it will move to the latest open period.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is wrong for few cases.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just give me 1 minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it about the auto invoice. And then we have something on the tuning part. So tuning is again performance related.
Mm-hmm.
Picking the what do you call the account flex field and the item specific configurations. So this also I
Okay.
leave it open. So
Okay.
and apart from that, we have the cache processing. Yeah.
So when you said accounting flex fields, right? The previous one, is it so performance is based on each of those segments that we use, segment values?
Yeah, it is based on the segment values.
It impacts that way?
Yeah, mostly we will not use this particular field. I
Okay.
mean,
Okay.
rarely we have used. Mostly, we will handle it at auto inverse configurations.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. So we have auto cache rule set.
Mm-hmm.
So when do we use this auto cache rule set? Is like so. Let's say we have something called logbots. So logbots is given by the banks. So
Mm-hmm.
bank will give this file. So we will take this particular logbots
Mm-hmm.
and we will load it into the system, and system will create the receipts automatically. So here, how system will understand that this is the invoice that I need to apply against this receipt. So
Mm-hmm.
this we are giving here as a condition. So based
Mm-hmm.
on this auto cache rule set or the matching receipt condition, system will process it. So we have the what do you call the auto match rule set. So maybe let's say we have a specific rule set, and we can attach the rule set and we can say use autoplay. So system will not ask us every time. System will automatically apply the invoices.
Okay. So for cash, what happened? So auto cash rule set, what is the difference? Sorry.
No, auto cache rule set is what do you call the criteria that is used to match this particular invoice or
Uh,
assess this particular invoice. But
okay.
whereas this is for matching the receipt with
Invoice.
invoice. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and
So do we have to define this before we come to this page?
no, like we can define it after we configure our system options.
Okay.
Yeah, just one. Yeah, small work actually. So can we see it tomorrow? Is it
Oh,
fine?
okay. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Not a problem.
Yeah, we'll continue tomorrow.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Yeah.